All the right signals had been sent, expectations were high. After a volatile year, both the EU and Turkey made pledges that 2021 would be more positive. But a recent EU leaders summit ended without that optimism. That's how Turkey's foreign ministry saw the meeting and its outcome. Although the EU offered $3.6 billion to help support Syrian refugees, Turkey said it fell well short of what was needed. Also troubling for Ankara was the EU's statement on Cyprus, saying its approach was one-sided that ignored Turkish Cypriots on the island. A statement from Turkey's foreign ministry also criticized the EU for failing to make concrete decisions, calling it a delaying tactic. Some of those long-running issues included updating a customs union with Turkey and its EU candidacy status, which was not even mentioned at the summit. Turkey's aspirations to join the bloc span 2 decades, but hasn't seen any movement in years. The European Parliament even has called for the negotiations to be formally suspended. And to break down where Turkey's relations with the EU are headed, joining me now from Ankara is Basak Yavcan. She is a researcher at Hugo Observatory and an associate professor at Tob University of Economics and Technology. And from Vienna, Klaus Jurgens. He is a political analyst and opinion writer who has written extensively on Turkey-EU relations. A warm welcome to you both. So, Klaus, what's your take on the latest EU summit where relations with Turkey discussed?
Well, as time is limited, I'll be very brief. Yesterday I mentioned sad is the wrong word. I'm absolutely disappointed. I think disappointed is the best way to sum it up. Let me start by saying this. Out of 9 issues mentioned in the final declaration, the word candidate country and Turkey's EU accession seem to be completely neglected, as if deleted. Now, Turkey is still a candidate country. If the EU has different plans or second opinions, they should by now tell Turkey. Turkey is no small child you pat on the shoulder for this or that policy-making issue, and then the big items you just forget. Secondly, I think only giving more money with regards to the migrant situation, of course, money is necessary. But somehow I have this feeling that this meeting overlooked Turkey's sensational humanitarian efforts, not only using the money, but actually welcoming, making a home for millions of people under distress and duress. This was completely sidelined. Now, the third point, not a single mention about visa liberalization, when and how customs union be upgraded. So yes, extremely disappointed.
So what's your take on that, Basak? You seem to agree.
I completely agree. There is not much left for me to say. It's really disappointed. I'm sure many policymakers in Turkey too, because the words of the council is very important, and it's an institution that's taken very seriously as a strategic partner, and it's really below the expectations. There are some if you may call silver lining, and that's the emphasis on issues of common interest, such as migration, public health, climate, counterterrorism, and regional issues being pointed out as areas of potential cooperation. But even with regards to the customs union reform process, there isn't a very clear designation of the Commission to give it a go. And as has been mentioned, even with also if you look at the rest of the document, not just the Turkey part, there is a very strong emphasis on issues of migration. There is a very strong emphasis on the areas of border security. That leaves really the integration of migrants in their host communities out. Well, Turkey has been trying to link the issue of migration cooperation to its candidacy. That's why the visa liberalization issue came up with the EU-Turkey deal of March 18th in the past, and that's why we have seen a lot of emphasis on the customs union reform process, and that's an expectation that should also be accelerated along with the cooperation and a future deal. Doesn't seem there. It seems quite absent, this kind of connection so far. And for Turkey, clearly the funds are important, but for the EU, what seems to be really important is the enhanced border security, which is understandable, but also sustainability is an issue. And if you really want the EU borders to be protected, actually, you want the refugees to be integrated into their host communities. And that requires more long-term investment, integration into the labor market, social cohesion, etc.
So, Klaus, could you give us an insight of the EU politics? I mean, where do they stand now? And for example, what are the main obstacles before these regulations, which Basak just mentioned, the reformation of the customs union and visa liberation? What is holding back the EU?
Well, on the positive note, the EU is literally embarking on a roadmap finding process. Now, you only have to remember tomorrow at midnight, the final transition phase of Brexit comes to its end, including the settlement scheme for all EU citizens in the United Kingdom. Now, this is a blow to the EU. Where to now, Brussels? Where to now, European Union? All of a sudden, they must find a new way. Now, if the EU would lose not only the United Kingdom, which it has, but would lose Turkey, not as a candidate country, but lose it for good, not because of Turkey did something wrong, but because of EU politicians and policy making. We simply don't care. We keep you in the waiting room another 50 years. The Turks will accept it. My dear friends in Brussels, these times have changed. The EU probably wants to play this waiting room game a little bit longer, but I am not sure for how long Turkey is really prepared. Let us not forget 2023, the centenary of the Republic of Turkey. It would be a fantastic sign from Brussels, if they know about this date, which I hope, a fantastic sign from the side of Brussels to allow them in to finally live up to the promise. But will they? I am getting more and more skeptical day by day. I do not see that something will change overnight. One last point, if I may.
Sure.
The optimist comes back. Angela Merkel, not because she's leaving is a positive note, but Angela Merkel is leaving. Angela Merkel, like every leader, needs a legacy. Angela Merkel knows how important Turkey-German relations are. I'm still so much hoping that in a last-minute twist, she would say before she is going, look, Turkey is important, not as a strategic partner, but one day as a full member state. It would send a clear signal to the Turkish population that something can change.
But Klaus, if I'm not mistaken, Angela Merkel was one of the leaders, along with the French leaders all the time, that had proposed a privileged partnership to Turkey, not full membership. So is this a little bit wishful thinking?
It is wishful thinking, but we live in the times of a pandemic, the end of a pandemic. No one, definitely not me, had ever expected Brexit 10 years ago. No one had ever expected a pandemic 10 years ago. So why not think bold and assume that perhaps a policy change would make actual sense? Yes, I know she wants this strategic partnership, privileged partnership, but let us not forget she will no longer be in charge. She no longer has to worry about what her party membership actually says. She could start a debate in Germany amongst the stakeholders and the media and politicians, German and Turkish communities, and leave some food for thought. Yes, wishful thinking, but why not?
Yes, but we still have the French president, Emmanuel Macron. So, Basak, why do you think the EU is avoiding to make any reference to Turkey's candidate status? I mean, and can we really now talk about a privileged status moving forward, or maybe we can be back at the negotiations table?
I think a candid, sincere commitment to a privileged partnership is better than no mentioning candidacy at all. So it looks like in this process, the reason why we're discussing all the inconsistencies so much is because this transactional approach is not really working. In the past, there was conditionality that came with a norm-based, a rule-based conditionality that came with the membership process. Unfortunately, when Turkey was scoring really well on the Copenhagen criteria, several key chapters were frozen by several member states, including Cyprus and France, and that's when the commitment to this norm-based conditionality has waned. And now we're at this transactional, at this very vulnerable, fragile state of relations with this transactional approach. And that's why it's not moving. So maybe a new name should be embraced by both actors with full commitment and full understanding, commitment to their words, commitment to the promises.
Yes.
Because currently it's not working.
Yeah, Klaus, in the beginning of this year, expectations were high, but you just mentioned, like, given all these negative signals, what does a positive agenda imply now?
Well, a positive agenda would be honest to start with, to begin with. It would now, I think the time has really come where Brussels must do its homework and tell the Turkish side, look, there are problems, we cannot do it. Forget about a full membership. Then secondly, what happens, my dear colleague just said, would a privileged partnership be an alternative? At least it has been mentioned. Now, I think it would be totally unfair to keep Turkey waiting any longer, and honesty, in particular in this end of pandemic times, hopefully end of, honesty in politics is something which we have to come back to. Solidarity, honesty, frank talk. No one will tell Brussels, okay, you don't want us anymore, we don't want to deal with you anymore. They will be sad and disappointed, but they will move on. I still think losing Turkey is a bigger threat to the remaining 27 EU, instead of finally accepting it multi-faith, multi-ethnic, multicultural, international social inclusion, plus the international geopolitical dimension, you name it, not even talking about enterprises, trade, universities. So yes, honesty is missing. This would be the positive sign. If another 1 or 2 years, the same meetings happen, the same debates happen, and then some declarations without any precise moving forward, bar extra money. I think with all modesty, the Turkish side will slowly come to the very, well, it's not unfair, but the very sad realization that something went wrong in Brussels for 4 years. I still hope it can be avoided, but only talking about a positive agenda without exactly precise steps wouldn't make sense. Coming back to visa liberalization, increasing tourism, increasing trade after the pandemic, bilateral trade, bilateral tourism. What a wonderful opportunity. 6 months bonus, need a visa. Why not now?
Yeah. All right, Basak, Klaus, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining us.